Hello, hello, hello. This is Ed Fletcher, and we are Ever Forward. This is a live broadcast, and I'll be speaking to Tanya Faison, the president or leader of Black Lives Matter Sacramento, about the struggle. If you're seeing this for the first time, my name's Ed Fletcher. I grew up in Orangevale, California, a longtime reporter at the newspaper in town, and currently work for the radio station in town. This is a private project here. I'm mostly a normal straight journalist, just a facts kind of person, but I have empowered myself to talk about race and the struggle. I started talking about things during George Floyd, and I felt that it was my job to do as much as I can to try to point people in the right direction, not to give answers, but hopefully to start some conversations. Um, and I also started this forum, basically an interview forum for me to talk to people in the community about the struggle. We've talked to Mayor Daryl Steinberg. We've talked to the Police Association president, Kevin Mickelson. Um, and hopefully we get some straight answers, and it's a broad conversation. You can comment in social media here. I encourage you to like and share this if you value this content, because otherwise it's not getting made. I am on Patreon, and I appreciate all of the 30 people that are still supporting me on Patreon. And if you've supported me on Patreon and you forgot, thank you anyway. Sorry, I haven't been keeping up with it. I am on social media. There are my handles there, and we'll air this on Access Sacramento. So there's the handle there. So that's another place that you'll be able to get this content later on. So with no further ado, I want to bring in our guest today, Tanya Faison, the leader of Black Lives Matter Sacramento. I don't necessarily know what the title you hold there, but Tanya is most of the time doing most of the work, and I think that matters the most. And we'll let her explain who she is and how we got where we are. Again, thank you for liking and sharing this, and thank you, Tanya, for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me. And if I must have a title, it would just be founder. We're trying to stay away from like presidents and things like that. But yeah, I started doing this work. I got inspired in, I want to say like 2001 or 2002, when I saw a video of a young man named Donovan Jackson in Inglewood who was being beaten by Inglewood police at a gas station in front of his father. He was 16, or he is, well, at the time he was 16, he's still alive. And this was before cell phones had cameras. So we were fortunate to get the information because somebody in Sacramento that is a videographer, he was out there in his hotel with the camera watching everything go down from his hotel room. But yeah, he was beaten pretty bad. He was unconscious. You could tell his body was limp and they were still beating him. And so that, it really angered me. And I followed that case in the news when that happened, and the officers, they weren't punished at all. They got away with doing everything, even though everything was right on camera. And so at that point, my attention started building up, whenever I would hear about police brutality or police in cases where people were murdered by police. And then we fast forward to the elections of Obama. When Obama first ran for president in 2008, I started really getting into politics, following the whole primaries all the way through to the election. I just started getting really interested in the processes and wanting to learn more about it. So I started studying political science in college. And then fast forward to 2009, Oscar Grant, he was murdered by the BART police. And I followed that, and that hit me really heavy. And so I started saying, okay, I want to take what I'm learning with political science and try to end what's going on in the streets between police and Black people. And so fast forward a little, I set a goal in my mind at that point. Fast forward to Mike Brown in 2014. I'd been employed for a really long time. During that time when they were, extending unemployment because the employment was just so bad. for people. And so I finally got a job. I worked at Apple and I started off as a temp. And I said, when I become permanent, I'm going to start saving my money and I'm going to start a nonprofit and I'm going to, start doing this work. And so I was made permanent within 6 months. I started a nonprofit called Insight. And I started, the goal was at that point, I didn't think it was happening in Sacramento. And so the goal at that point was to just, raise money and be able to be feet on the ground or boots on the ground in other places when they need help. So like in an instance with Mike Brown, be able to fly in and be supportive in other cities and in other states. And so we started Insight in August of 2014. In October of 2015, Adrian Ludd was killed by the Sacramento Sheriff Department. And Alicia Garza, who is one of the co-founders of BLM, she had put a post on her Facebook page asking, did anybody know who's on the ground in Sacramento doing the work, because her friend was his cousin. And so somebody put us in a message together. And then from that point, we started fighting for Adrian Ludd. And then about a month later, we had already been trying to become a BLM chapter without any success and without any route to do that. We'd been going to the Bay Area meetings to try to, get in and slip in through that way. But about a month later, after fighting for Adrian Ludd, we became an official chapter November of 2015. And so we've been doing this work ever since. And I learned really quick that it is definitely happening in Sacramento. We have over 20 Black people in Sacramento since when we started doing this work that we're fighting for, that we have fought for. So there is a void in Sac, and it definitely needed to get filled.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you for doing that work. I mean, a lot of people read the article or it doesn't even become an article because it doesn't get the light that it needs to. And I've been a reporter on the other end for a lot of that time, and you see a story and you hear the police standpoint, and you just don't have the resources or the time to kind of follow it or to see where it goes or to gather an alternative viewpoint because there's not enough there. But as we've seen a progression, we're seeing more and more of an alternative viewpoint, and lawyers getting involved and people that are bringing more attention to this. And we've also seen this evolution in technology where they used to not have any video on them, and then the video was crap. And then we saw enough cell phone video that we demanded they put body cameras on. And now you've just got much more evidence of what some people would argue has been happening a long time. Thank you for telling your origin story. That was going to be my first question. And I think a lot of people have that. And if you're appreciating this content, again, please like and share so that other people can see it. But I'm sure you've said this many times, but often people don't have the bandwidth to hear. But what's your goal? What's your mission? What are you guys working on? What's the agenda?
So throughout the years, things have evolved. Originally, we wanted to make sure that through policy that we could prevent police-involved shootings and police-involved or police misconduct or police abuse. That was the goal originally, just to do that. And then we started learning about, oppression and how it's impacted Black people since the beginnings of this country. And so you start trying to figure out ways to rebuild our communities. I spent a lot of time over the last couple of years asking and begging and demanding that, we see change through our local officials. And it's a lot of effort and a lot of work. And then we're always back at, ground zero again, making the same demands, making the same requests. And so we're not seeing a lot of progress through like city government or county government. And then at the same time, we're seeing people just being killed back to back to back, not just, locally, but as well as nationally. And so this last year, maybe a little bit longer than that, I've been really focused on spending less time demanding from entities and really trying to rebuild what we want to see in our community. That way we could rely on each other instead of relying on those other entities. And maybe they can learn from it. I don't know, but we need to build something that hasn't been built yet. And so just trying to reimagine that, trying to see what that looks like, trying to find out what resources are available to our communities, because that's usually whatever it is that we don't have or that we need, is usually the foundation of our problems. And so just trying to get those things in order and build something new. And that's really been my focus. At the same time, though, we're still like trying to push for any legislation that comes through that is leaning in the direction of community reliance, or leaning on, freeing our people, not oppressing our people anymore. Then we stand behind that. We push for that as well.
Okay. We've seen a lot of change. Well, we've seen some movements towards change. There was conversation on the national level, but on the local level, we've banned chokeholds, and we also enacted this change in our use of force rules, and there's been some other changes. I wanted you to talk a little bit about the bright spots or points of progress you see, and maybe where those areas could be improved.
So ever since 2018, we've seen when our local government started getting a lot of national attention with Stephon Clark's killing, we started seeing we had 3 new policies that were created. We had the body camera policy, we had the less lethal forms of force policy, and the no foot pursuit policy. And so those policies were created, which were great ideas. And those were actions that were made. But on September 6th, September 6th, when Daryl Richards was killed, all 3 of those policies were violated. And that's when we realized that the policies that were created did not have any type of repercussions attached to them if they're violated, and that there is no policy that exists right now that has any repercussions, any outline for what repercussions happen if an officer does break the policy or does violate the policy. And so that's when I kind of got a little bit pessimistic. Whenever we see new policies being created and city council taking the time to talk about things or pushing things forward, what are the repercussions attached? What happens if these are violated? So that's what, those are the things that I think about. But we have seen some things happen lately. I'm sorry, my cat is loud right now. She's in heat. But yeah, so, and I'm trying to swipe at her, but she's not in my reach. So, but yeah, those are the things that, there's a lot of great policies. There's a lot of great conversations. I've been a little bit pessimistic because I'm so tired of having conversations. We've been having so many conversations. 2016, we had a lot of conversations. We mobilized the whole community to come together and have conversations. And I've seen our mayor do a lot of performative gestures that really don't enact any change. And so I'm really glad that we have, new members on our council that will enforce and make sure that we follow through on things. So Katie's done a really good job at that. Maya's done a good job at supporting. And so, that's what I'm hopeful for, based on, the fact that we have those changes in council, because they're pushing to make sure that actions are happening instead of just, words.
Mm-hmm. The challenge, so a lot of good things have happened in terms of policy change. And you talk about this challenge to like, how do you enforce it? And that to me seems like the bigger problem is like, how do you create this culture change where the cops feel like we are the people and those are our brothers we're trying to help, as opposed to this us versus them. We've got to put on some armor to go drive through those neighborhoods. How do you enact the cultural change that you think is needed, or what sort of cultural change do you see needed?
So there's like 3 different worlds that we're talking about. We have the world of, city council and city government and county government and, what those people in those seats and those chairs, what they think should happen and how they're enacting it. And then we got the activist world, which is when we do hit the streets, where we're physically experiencing police abuse and, terror. And then you've got the world that's not in either one of those worlds, where you go through neighborhoods like Oak Park or Del Paso Heights, where there's a lot of Black folks that live in those areas. They've been in those areas for their whole lives, and they've always experienced police violence. And so, like, if we're going into those areas, they're not part of either of the other two worlds that we've mentioned. So they're ignored, they're not looked at. And so we do a lot of cop watching, and in that process, we see so much. You might have counsel in the room saying, this is unacceptable. We're not doing this anymore. These policies are in action, and I trust our police, and our police are, respectful people, and they're a professional department. But then you go into these streets and you see the complete opposite in this world of people that don't have access to, lawyers or, public light. So, with all of that being said, I feel like what needs to happen is there needs to be repercussions. People need to know what they have access to. People need to be tended to, like you said, like they're humans, like they're our brothers and sisters, like they're cared for, like they're citizens of, this city that they live in. Because right now we have those two separate worlds, and people are not treated as if they matter. It's that simple. And so that's what needs to happen. But I don't think our police are going to stop doing what they do because they have all this power until they start losing their jobs, being charged, being convicted, when they do things that hurt or kill people. They need to start feeling the repercussions. It needs to impact them, not just impact our tax dollars, not just with lawsuits, but with jobs and jail time.
Give me a status check on defund the police. It seems like we're saying the phrase less, but we're implementing the agenda to that. Do you feel like it was kind of the right way to get people's attention, and do you feel like we're implementing the vision?
I don't know if there's a right way. I know that whatever gets people's attention, I'm glad that it does, even if it's in a way that some folks question it, because it brings the conversation to the table again. And so with defund the police, I think that was a good conversation starter, because people wanted to know what that exactly meant. And I think it meant something different for everybody, because everybody has different intentions. So I don't think I think it was good that it came out. And I think that COVID really put people in a space to where we had to tend to these issues. It was just in front of us too abruptly, and we didn't have anything else to do but to just address it.
Can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution. They 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 can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution.
Hey, how about that flashback there? I was trying to cue that up, and I didn't know if that video was still there, but obviously it is. And
it's all good. That was fun. No, but what was I saying? You had asked about, what did you ask me?
We were talking about defund the police.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I think it was a good start. I think that right now you're seeing a lot of actions taking place. We're trying. Sacramento is trying. Like I said, we got new council members, and they're trying, they're pushing, and I commend them highly for that. We have our board of supervisors recently just passed a commission that has subpoena power. That's a huge step in Sacramento County, especially in the county, which has always been very conservative as far as our board members. So that's a huge step. There are other steps that have been taken in other cities and states and counties that are way bigger. So I'm like, okay, can we have that? Can we do those things? I feel like, we should, California, especially the capital, we should be setting the example for the rest of the country. And that's what we've done in the past. So I feel like, we need to step it up. And I'm always impatient with change because I want to see it right now. I work too hard. I want to see it right now. So I understand that about myself as well. But yeah, I think that we're leaning in the right direction. We need more people in office that want to see these changes, though, and that that care more about the people. That's what I'm hoping to see in the next few years, is those types of changes. More Katie's in my veins in office.
Mm-hmm. Well, an enemy of yours is leaving the office. District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert will not be the district attorney. Share your thoughts on her. Do you think she'd be a good district attorney?
Do I think she would be?
Oh, she's trying to be the attorney general.
Oh, the attorney general?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. She doesn't need to hold any seat in any office, in my opinion. In my personal Tanya Faison hat. That's how I feel. I'm excited about the people that are running for DA. I don't know much about two of them, but I know about one of them, and I'm really excited that she's running. But as far as AG, I don't think California is going to be fooled like Sacramento was fooled when it comes to Anne Marie Schubert. I don't think she's progressive enough for for California. And then Stephon Clark, like that's always gonna, like everybody in the country knows about Stephon Clark. So that's gonna come up, and she dragged his name in the mud a year after he was killed. She dragged his girlfriend's name in the mud a year after he was killed. She tried to place guilt on his girlfriend for his death. What she did in that last, announcement of not filing any charges against those officers that killed them, she didn't just not file charges. She kicked us when we were down, and she hurt his family more, and she caused more pain, more trauma. They needed more healing after that. So yeah, I think that's going to all come back and bite her.
Okay. You were in the news recently, and I think I know the answer to this, but I should ask it for the sake of the audience. Can you talk about the lawsuit and what's going on with the story that was in the Bee the other day?
So yeah, a lady sent us racist emails. I posted them on Facebook, and she is now suing for libel. I can't really elaborate too much on it due to the recommendation of my attorney, but that's what's basically happening. She's saying she didn't make the emails, that it's unclear because some media said that her email was hacked. Others were saying that an account was created. So it's really unclear what she's trying to say, but she's saying that she didn't do that, and she's suing us for libel because she didn't do the emails. Yeah, we've stated that if she can prove that, we'll be more than happy to take them down. But personally, racism should never go unchecked. So, especially when you're a business owner in the city.
Yeah. Okay. So, talk about, I guess, holding racism in check. I do want to talk about what's going on with the land deal, but I should go ahead and do it because now I've only talked about it a couple times. But I had thought of this T-shirt that says "Making Racists Uncomfortable," or "Make Racists Uncomfortable," because it's really kind of the phase that we need to be in. That they need to be on the run, not us running from them. And I think I can say that without any problems. But talk about your view and how to sort of we kind of, I guess, deal with the place we're at in America's dealing with its legacy of slavery.
So I think there's a phrase that says it's a mockery of the "Make America Great Again." It says "Make Racists Afraid Again." And so there was a point in time where racist people would only go into their garages with their friends and say racist things, and it was unacceptable to the world, and they felt only empowered in their small circles. But it seems like, ever since Obama ran for president, the racism started bubbling. And then when Trump, became president, people felt empowered to just say racist things, do racist things, to show their whole self. So I believe that we should make them afraid again. I don't think, like I said, racism should not go unchecked ever, especially if it's people in our community that are profiting off of people in our community. So if you've got a business, if you have a platform, anything that you profit off of, you do racist things, you should no longer profit off of our people. And when I say our people, I mean everybody, not just Black folks, but period. People need to learn. And everybody learns differently. Some people can hold conversations and learn the gracious way and learn about anti-Blackness and learn about anti-racist work. And then some people have to be, they're not stopping. So they have to be told, like, you're not going to do this in this city. You're not going to do this in our presence. You're not going to get away with this. And that's not to say like anything violent should happen, but they should be uncomfortable. They should know that this is unacceptable. We're not tolerating it. We're in 2021, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it's really been interesting to see this sort of transformation and how America is dealing or trying to reject dealing with racism. And I'd like to hope that the good side's winning, but it's a challenge. Let's talk about your land deal. What are you trying to do, and what are you trying to accomplish?
So originally we wanted to have office space and meeting space. And so we started looking for like office space, and we learned real quick that office space, you get really small amount of space for your money. And so we thought, okay, well, let's look into renting a house or something like that, and preferably in a neighborhood that's gentrified like Oak Park, so we can be present in that community. And so we started looking at rentals, and that was a long time ago. And so that kind of paused. We applied for a couple places and got denied. And so that went on a pause for a long time. And then after George Floyd was murdered and everything just got real crazy. And then, you had back-to-back murders during that time. But alongside that, in our community, we were having a lot of intra-community violence as well. So there was a lot of our youth being killed in Sacramento, 2 and 3 people like a week. And so that was really hard because some of the people that were killed were the children of my friends that I grew up with, or people that I knew personally. And so I'm seeing how this is impacting communities as well, on top of COVID, on top of, George Floyd and Breonna. And so that's when I made a post on Facebook because I started brainstorming, like, what could we do? We made a coalition. It's called Our Streets Coalition. And we made a coalition and started trying to brainstorm with folks that are impacted by this, more directly impacted more than myself, people that are directly impacted, people that are in gangs. We started having meetings and brainstorming, okay, what's needed? Because tough love has happened in the past. That doesn't work. The city, the county, they can't help. That doesn't work. So we just thought, resources are needed. Our communities need the things that they don't have. If we had what we needed, we wouldn't be resorting to our own, ways of getting what we need, like money or clout or family, building families. That's what gangs are. So that's when I thought, okay, we need to make a space for Black folks to have access to in these communities that would provide them resources. And I went to Facebook on our BLM SAC page. I did a post and I said, what is the resource you can offer to community? And we got a lot of response. We got like 97 people that responded from all walks of life saying, I could do this in community. I can do landscaping. I am a doctor. I could do surgery. I could help people fill out their home loan applications. I can help people fill out college applications. I can teach people how to write papers. I could babysit. I could cook. I could read tarot cards. Like, we had everything coming through. It was beautiful. So we confirmed all those resources, and those people are willing to provide these resources to community. So that's when we started looking for land, because we couldn't find a place big enough to like do this that's affordable. So we started looking at land. A lot of the land in the 95817 zip code is unaffordable now because of the gentrification. So we did some looking around. We found a woman that owned land but wasn't doing anything with it. She'd agreed to sell it to us, and then her son talked us out of it, or talked her out of it. And so that fell through. And so Kimberly at Grounded, she knew that I was looking, and so they came across land that was being sold for a really good price, from someone that they had sold it to a couple years ago, and he did nothing with it. So she called me immediately and said, this is not on the market yet, but we're giving you a chance. If you want to buy it, we're giving you a chance to buy it before we put it on the market, so you don't have competition. I was like, yes. And so we went through the process. We made the purchase. We've gotten a lot of volunteers from really well-known people in the community to help build it, to help provide electricity, to help do the architecture for it. Like, we have some really big names that are volunteering their services, and so it's all falling into place. Our hopes is to purchase more land around it, so that we could have a bigger space and build something that can accommodate the community in a way that we can have health clinics, we can have legal clinics, we can have someone coming through to teach you how to put eyelashes on, or how to do hair, or how to do nails, giving people skill sets, giving people a place to go to if they don't feel safe. And so that's the goal right now. That's been a really huge focus right now. That's the rebuilding that I'm talking about, and getting resources in our community so that we can lean on each other.
And how do people contact you if they want to support this or support you in other ways?
We have our phone number, which is 916-581-0061, or they can email us at info@blacklivesmattersacramento.com. And we're still we haven't been posting the form, which is that's how we originally got the information, but we've still been getting emails, and we got an email today with someone that's offering a service. So we're still compiling all that information and gathering it until we're able to say, okay, come through.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know all that. So that's why I'm glad I'm talking to you, and I'm glad we're getting this here.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't get it all on the Facebooks. All right. Well, I appreciate this chat. Is there anything else that you want to get off your mind that maybe we didn't talk about, or something you want to hit? But I really appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, nothing. I think that's about it. My cat is still barking. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you for letting me come on the show and talk about what we're doing and talk about what's going on locally. I think we covered everything, though.
All right. Well, I appreciate you again, and thank you for watching this. Thank you for sharing and liking and supporting the work that Tanya's been doing, and that I talk about sometimes. There's the Black Lives Matter Sacramento.com/donate. You got somebody on it. All right. Thanks a lot. Ever forward.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.